Hello and welcome back to Supposedly Fun. My name is Greg and I am here today to do my standard Friday Reads video where I wrap up the week in reading and any bookish or book-related things that have gone on. It's been a fairly quiet week, but I did finish 2 books over the weekend. We'll get to them a little bit later when we do the actual Friday Reads portion of this video, and I have 3 books in progress, one of which is a secret, and I will cryptically explain a little bit about that once we get to the actual Friday Reads portion of this video as well. The main bookish related thing that's gone on this week is that I have been really excited to see a lot of the Booker Prize content that has been going up since the long list was announced. A lot of people are working their way through the long list, and that's been fun to see, a lot of the reactions. I do have a hold at my library that is available for one of the books on the long list, but I'm trying to decide if I'm going to pick it up or just let it go and get back on the hold list and wait, because I have some things on my plate right now and I really want to get back to the Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois this month. I mentioned that in my July wrap-up and August plans, which I will have linked in the description box down below. Right now, Love Songs is sitting on my bookshelf, on the shelf that you can't see, one lower than that, just waiting for me to pick it back up, and I really want to get back to it. So I'm thinking that I'm going to hold off on this Booker book and see if, when the prize gets closer, maybe when the shortlist is announced, if I'm still interested in it, maybe I can get a copy of it then and think about it. But I'm probably going to take a pass on this go. But it's been really nice seeing all of the Booker content that has been going up. Otherwise, it's been a really quiet week. I am very tired. I've actually tried to film this video about 10 times. That's no exaggeration so far, because every time I start it, I don't really know what I want to say. And because I don't really know what I want to say, I end up rambling. And then I stop and suddenly think to myself, how did I start talking about this? Why am I talking about this? So we're trying it again. It's been an interesting week. It's not my stories to tell, but my boss is having some issues, and a lot of time this week has been spent trying to figure out what they mean and what we're going to do and what our contingency plans are. So it's been a pretty stressful week for work, and that does mean that my reading suffered a little bit. The 2 books that I finished were finished over the weekend, and my reading was really slow during the week. Finally, over the last 2 days, I started making some progress on the things that I have been reading. I think I'm about, I don't even know what percentages of the books I'm in. By the way, I don't know if you can hear the rooster. It's really been going this afternoon. I hate it. If you are unfamiliar, the people who live behind us diagonally got chickens and a rooster, and the rooster never shuts up. So that's fun. Anyway, it's also been really hot here, and that has been a little bit tough. You may notice I have not been filming in here, even though I have been planning to move my work back here. This is where I'm supposed to be working. This is where my desk is. Long story. After we set this up, I moved back into the library or living room and had been working there with Guinness while he was sick. So I've been moving back here, but for some reason, this room was really hot last week. So I went out there where it was a little cooler. Thankfully, this week, it's been a little better in terms of temperature. Instead of being over 100, we're just over 90, and that 10 degrees really makes a difference. So that has been pretty good. It's been a relief, at least. And if you follow along, you may also remember that I was trying to figure out an easy way for me to set up a camera in here so I can just film and record while I'm working and make it easy. And the difficulty I mentioned was that this light is here on the wall behind me if I'm standing at the desk. So in order to avoid the light, I had to angle the camera more this way so I could stand over here. Problem being, it's really awkward to make that work with the desk, and I don't want to move the whole desk every time I want to film. The whole point is to make it easy. Yesterday, the solution occurred to me. Just turn the light off. Don't know why that was so difficult for me. Just turn the light off. It makes total sense now. I mean, the problem is, it is a little dark in this room now, but I think it's fine. There's a window right in front of me, so hopefully enough light is getting through. And hopefully this will be a lot easier. And now, and I'll probably still be a nomad, let's be real, and film a little bit out in the living room, in the dining table. I would like to film a little more in the backyard. Again, I thought that was really nice. The problem is it's been so hot that I can't stand to be out there, even in the shade of the umbrella. And my other concern with that is that when I did a video the first time outside in the backyard, it went really great. But then I filmed a second video out there, and it was my beloved deep dive for the Pulitzer Prize project. And there was a lot of background noise from bugs and wind and things like that. So that wasn't ideal. So I'd like to go back out there, but maybe in the fall when there's a little bit less going on in terms of bugs and heat and things like that. But I feel like I'm on the verge of rambling again. So let's just get to the actual Friday Reads portion of this video. Now, the reason there's a little bit of secrecy about one of the books that I am reading is that I arbitrarily decided to make it that way. Basically, I got a book recommendation from somebody, and I am filming a vlog as I read the book. I'm terrible at vlogging because I always forget to film sections with updates and do other things that people mix in with the footage of them talking about the book. Like I'm just a bad blogger in terms of that. So I am working on that, and you'll find out what the book is when I'm done and have finished my thoughts and am going to upload them. So I don't know. Am I trying to create suspense? I think I'm just trying to keep it interesting for me. And I don't want to talk about my thoughts of the book. This is the real thing. I don't want to talk about my thoughts of the book before I have the whole vlog ready. So that's the reason for the secrecy, if all of that makes sense. So I am working on that book. It's been a slow start, but I'm working on it. And I finally got to the part where the action of the book is getting going. So I think that will probably help speed things up as I work through. So hopefully by this time next week, you will have found out what this little mystery book is. And I am grateful to you for bearing with me while I pretend to be secretive about it. I am not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the two books that I finished, because while I did finish them since my last Friday Reads video, I have already talked about them in my July wrap-up. Those two books are Heartstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman. If you did not watch my July wrap-up, this is adorable. It's all the pure, innocent cinnamon bun energy that you would kind of expect from a Heartstopper book. One of the things that's really nice about it is that Alice Oseman allows relationships to be complicated and real-world factors to kind of come into this relationship. It's not just pure, innocent romance. It allows for the world and the characters to be complicated and make mistakes. And it also delays the fact that these people are going to become a couple without making it feel like arbitrary things are getting thrown in their way. The conflicts that they have and the problems that they have feel organic. In this book, the conflict is that Nick hasn't decided to come out yet because he doesn't know how he identifies. So he's working through that in this book, and that feels genuine. The problem with it is you are clearly supposed to binge these books, and I am really resisting that a lot. So I will work through the rest of the series, but when you read one and then pause before doing the next one, it feels like watching a single episode of an entire season's worth of TV, and you know the story began somewhere else and it's about to continue somewhere else, and all you're getting is this little installment of it. But I have no intention of binging the entire series at once. My library does not have copies of these books, which is annoying because I've repeatedly requested copies. And also, why would a library not have Heartstopper books in this day and age when aren't the kids clamoring for this? I don't know. So that was the first thing that I finished last week. The next thing that I finished was Less by Andrew Sean Greer. Managed to get this in just under the wire in the month of July. I will talk a lot more about this book when I do my Pulitzer Prize deep dive on it. I have been working on that periodically through this week, and I'm about 40% of the way through my deep dive, just because it's been a really busy work week and I haven't had a lot of time and energy to devote a lot of thought to this. And frequently when I've sat down to work on it, I've just kind of stared at what I've already prepared and don't know what direction I want to go. So I've put it aside. So I'm still working on it, and we'll get there. I also made this the focus of a video I did this week called "Does This Weird Bookish Thing Happen to You?" Because my memory of what I thought of this book the first time I read it was wrong. And I'll put a link to that video down below if you'd like to watch it, and let me know if that's a thing that happens to you as well. So more will be coming about less from Andrew Sean Greer. So the sequel to this book is coming in September, and I have early access to it from NetGalley. So I'm hoping that this month I will manage to get that in as well. I'm not going to try to get it done before I do the Pulitzer Prize deep dive on this, but I'm going to try to get that done as well. I want to finish up some of the things I'm working on. I think I'm still going to try to pick up Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois, and then I'll get to the sequel to Less, because I'd rather get Love Songs done. And since this comes out in September, I'm not in a huge rush to get to it. We're really close to the date when it will be released. So more is coming about this book, and I'll also be working on the sequel as well, which is called Less is Lost, if you're interested. I don't have the release date in front of me, but I believe it is coming out in September. And I'm not convinced that this book needs a sequel. So it will be interesting to see what I think of that book once I actually do read it. So what am I currently working on? Well, one of the books is a mystery. And I started Mercury Pictures Presents on audio. This is written by Anthony Marra. I think I had just started it and barely gotten 2 chapters in when I did my last Friday Reads video. And I knew I wasn't going to finish it in the month of July. I definitely did not. And my progress has been really slow. Now, the book has been released now. I have an eGalley from NetGalley, but I actually pivoted now that the book is released and started listening to it on audio. So the mystery book is something I'm reading in print-ish, ebook, from my library. So I'm now doing Mercury Pictures Presents as my audio, and I didn't really know what this book was about. I knew it was about a movie studio. I didn't quite realize that it's about a specific woman who works at this movie studio who is Italian and who had to flee Italy with her mother as a result of Mussolini's regime. So she ends up working at this movie studio, Mercury Pictures, working, among other things, with the censor department, because in 1941, when this is set, you're building up to World War II, and Hollywood is in the thrall of the censor bureau, basically. Movies are heavily censored. You really have to answer for what goes in your movies. You cannot depict certain things. This is something that would continue to be the case until the late 60s, early 70s. That's why there's so much groundbreaking cinema in the 70s, because until the studio system began to crumble, which happened in the mid to late 60s, you couldn't get away from the censors. And there are very many reasons that that happened. If you are at all interested in any of them, I would recommend you pick up Pictures at a Revolution by Mark Harris. This is about the Best Picture nominees from 1968 and how they reflect the changing Hollywood. And he spends a lot of time talking about this exact thing. So because I love this book so much, it's interesting to draw parallels to Mercury Pictures Presents. Let me put this back on the shelf. Give me 1 second. I was really liking this in the beginning, when it is following this woman, this Italian woman who is working at the movie studio, and she is dating an Asian American actor who can't get parts, even though he's a great actor, because he's Asian American. He basically just has to play the Fu Manchu style villains, like racist depictions of Asian people and all of that. So the book is working on multiple layers, and they are about to appear before, I can't remember if it's Congress or the Senate. I want to say Congress, or just a committee. But my brain has been a little bit all over the place this week, in case you can't tell. So they're getting ready to appear before the government, basically, to try to defend themselves against censorship. And it's an interesting time period because you would think it would be really easy to set this book in about a decade later, like in the late 1940s, early 1950s, because then you have the McCarthy hearings, which are an easy thing to latch onto. Setting it here draws in a lot more from World War II and does a lot of really interesting things. And I'm really appreciating where the book is going. But then it went back to Italy to talk more about her father. And I admit I got kind of bored with that part. And I'm waiting for it to get back to her. That could also be just my brain being all over the place. And I kind of haven't listened to it in 2 days because my ability to focus on it has not been great. As you can tell, I don't know what branch of government they're supposed to speak before. It is what it is. So I'm really enjoying this, really looking forward to getting back into it, paying better attention to it, and seeing where it goes. And then, because I was having a little bit of difficulty getting into the mystery book, I started thinking about something I could kind of read on the side and work my way through. Didn't want anything big. So as it happens, one of the books I mentioned in my August reading plans perfectly fits the bill. It's The Queens of Sarmiento Park by Camila Sosa Villada, translated by Kit Maude. This is the LGBTQ in Translation read-along selection, or one of the 2 LGBTQ in Translation read-along titles for the month of August. It was intentionally selected for Women in Translation Month. Camila Sosa Villada is a transgender woman, and transgender women are women. So it perfectly qualifies for the LGBTQ in Translation read-along and for Women in Translation Month. I'm not very far into this book yet. I started it last night and I am 30 pages in, but it's a really short book. So that is a good chunk of it. It's about 190 pages. This is a really beautiful edition of this book. In the United States, I'm going to put the American cover up. It's called Bad Girls, and the cover looks like something that would be shelved in the erotica section, and I have no problem with that, but this is so much better, and actually seems to tie in because this is, at least in the part that I've read, a kind of lightly magical realist book, and this just doesn't fit that vibe at all, but this does. What really sealed the deal is, as I was comparing the 2 covers and I really liked this one better, I realized that on Blackwell's, this is actually cheaper to order and ship to the United States than that one is. So I went with this cover. And I'm really happy with it. It has this beautiful, almost canvas feel to it. So it's a really attractive book. Anyway, the other book, by the way, let me grab it for you. The other book for the LGBTQ in Translation read-along for August and September is The Kiss of the Spider-Woman by Manuel. Puig. It does not have the name of the translator on the cover. Translated from the Spanish by Thomas Colchie. I already own a copy, so I'm prioritizing The Queens of Sarmiento Park / Bad Girls because Women in Translation Month, and I'm hoping I will get to this one in September. So stay tuned for that. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned it, and I will have the details for the LGBTQ in Translation read-along in the description box down below, including a link to the Discord. There's a great group of people in there if you would like to join in. So a lot happens in the first 30 pages of this book. You have a bunch of drag queens, transgender people, and one woman who have formed a little community of people who hang out in Sarmiento Park. They are sex workers. And Auntie Encarna is the one who sort of oversees them. She's the mother hen. She is 178 years old, which gives you entree to the fact that this is a very kind of magical realist book. And the magic in this is not like outlandish, if that's a thing that concerns you. It's just mentioned that she's 178 years old. There are headless people in the first 30 pages of this book. So, okay, maybe I've talked myself into it. Maybe if magical realism isn't your thing, maybe do stay away from this. But I've been really enjoying this. So while they are in Sarmiento Park, one night they find a baby and they bring it back to the house where Auntie Encarna has created a safe haven for all of these sex workers and transgender women. They use a term that in the foreword to the book, Camila Sosa Villada mentions has started to be considered offensive in Argentina, but she is determinedly using it to show the ways in which these people have been treated over time, and not just be palliative about the way they have been treated, which is an interesting approach. So I'm really looking forward to getting further into this, and I will talk more about it. Hopefully I'll be done next week. Again, it's a really short book, so 30 pages is a good chunk of progress in this. So that's what I've been reading this week. Hopefully I'm going to be getting some sleep over the weekend. I will be getting a haircut. Jamie will be getting a haircut. Joel will be getting a haircut. Everybody's getting their haircut this weekend. So that will be nice, and we should be seeing a friend on Sunday as well. So that would be nice. I hope you have some nice things lined up for your weekend. Let me know what you've been up to, reading, watching. Oh, by the way, we've been watching Hacks. We're working on the second season now. I'll talk more about that next week, but it's like stressful, but entertaining, which is a weird thing to say, but more about that next week. But let me know what you've been up to, reading, watching, whatever, in the comment section down below. And as always, I really appreciate your time. I will be back. Until then, happy reading.